beautiful day in the neighborhood. True crime, horror, dark, deep, and mysterious. What the is going on type of stories number 2. Day in that neighborhood. My brothers and sisters. My people. As always, glad y'all came back and hollering at the pen. And boy,
do I have a crazy story to tell y'all today.
Now there are 2 days promised to all of us in this lifetime, and that is our birth date and our death date. However, this woman's death date happened twice. But before I give y'all all the tea behind this story, y'all got to do one thing for me. Get whatever you may need. Get what you need for the story, please. Y'all got what y'all need? Y'all ready to go? Then let's go. Moore Heights, California, one of the most historic Mexican-American communities in Los Angeles, is where we meet 79-year-old Maria Arroyo. She had been married to Dionisio Arroyo for over 63 years. They had 8 children and many grandchildren and great-grandchildren. By this time in their life, they had been retired for many years and were just enjoying the successful life that they had made for each other. On July 19, 2010, Maria would celebrate her 80th birthday with her family and friends. Little did she or anyone at this party know that a week later, Maria would die 2 times. The morning of July 26, 2010, Maria would tell her husband that she is having extreme chest pains. And these chest pains would quickly lead to her having a massive heart attack. Her husband dialed 911 and EMS would arrive to rush her to White Memorial Medical Center. When she got to the hospital, her heart attack would subside, but while she was being seen by doctors, she would suddenly go into cardiac arrest. Maria's EKG machine eventually flatlined, and the doctors pronounced her dead. Many of her family members had gathered in the waiting room at the hospital when a doctor would come in and give them the terrible news. Her family was heartbroken, and they would then go into Maria's hospital room with the pastor to pray over her body. A little while later, after the family left, Maria's body would be put in the body bag, zipped up, and moved to the hospital morgue. Now, a hospital morgue is an area within a hospital where the bodies of the deceased are placed on racks and stored inside cabinets. These cabinet temperatures are usually below freezing to slow down the process of decomposition. After 3 days at the hospital morgue, Maria's body would be moved to a funeral home where they would prepare her for her funeral services. There were 2 morticians at the funeral home, and once they opened Maria's body bag, they were in total shock. Because her body was face down in the bag, and when they turned her over, her face had many cuts on it, and her nose was disfigured as if it was broken. There was nothing sent from the hospital to the funeral home on her records that would indicate that her body was injured in any way. So the morticians are sitting there looking real puzzled at each other. But eventually they just shrugged it off and continued to prepare Maria's body for her funeral. The next day, some of Maria's family members would come to the funeral home to view her body and to make sure that everything was all set for her wake. However, when they seen Maria's face, they were in total disbelief. Because even though the morticians had applied makeup to Maria's face by this time, the cuts were still very visible, and they were 100% sure that this is not how they had last seen her at White Memorial Hospital. They would immediately file a negligence lawsuit against the hospital, thinking that some staff members had mishandled Maria's body. Also, they would hire a pathologist named Dr. William Mannion, and he will review medical records and sworn statements from the staff hospital that would lead him to a horrific conclusion about Maria's death. He revealed to Maria's family that she was not deceased when doctors had pronounced her dead. She was just unconscious and had woken up after she was placed inside the frozen cabinet at the hospital morgue. And once she had woken up, she could not maneuver her arms enough to actually unzip the body bag. So she just laying there, just moving her head, just trying to do anything possible to get up out of this frozen cabinet. And that would explain why she had all those cuts on her face and a broken nose. This will also explain why her body was face down in the bag with the zipper half open. Even if Maria did somehow get out the body bag, she would still be locked inside the cabinet. And with temperatures below freezing, it was inevitable that she would die from hypothermia. Her family would drop the negligence suit against the hospital and file a new one for wrongful death. As of December the 22nd, 2022, this case is still ongoing, with White Memorial Medical Center still denying that they had anything to do with Maria's death.
The most egregious cases you'll ever see.
Placed in a body bag while still alive.
This case keeps me awake at night.
Maria de Jesus Arroyo's family is suing White Memorial Medical Center in Boyle Heights. They claim she was prematurely declared dead and put into the morgue alive.
The mortuary found Maria de Jesus Arroyo upside down in the body bag, which told the expert that she was fighting her way out.
The family's attorney, Scott Schutzman, says the court documents paint a haunting picture of the 80-year-old grandmother's final moments. An expert hired by the family told the judge Arroyo was actually alive in the hospital's freezer, eventually woke up due to extreme cold, and damaged her face and turned herself face down as she struggled. In other words, she ultimately froze to death. Schutzman says when the mortuary employees found her, makeup couldn't cover her broken nose and self-inflicted facial injuries. In a 27-page statement, an expert witness said Arroyo was found with the body bag approximately halfway open, consistent with her struggling in the body bag to get out. Arroyo's family initially sued for mishandling her deceased body, but when their expert testified that the injuries could not have occurred after death, and that she died not of a heart attack but of asphyxiation and hypothermia, the family filed a new lawsuit for medical negligence and wrongful death. A judge dismissed it. It went to the Court of Appeals. Late today, a judge reversed the case back to court for a jury trial.
This case deserves a jury verdict, and a jury will rule on it.
And that's the end of today's story, my friends. But until I see y'all again, love, peace, and happiness. Stay safe. Don't stop. Keep going. Yeah.
Little bean, let me in. You think you can do this without me, huh? You think you can get these people to listen to you without me? Stack the bean. You need